What is going on YouTube? Kronos here, and welcome back to another PSO2 video. So today we're going to be talking about the units to follow up our new gear set of videos that we usually cover on the channel. But if you're new here, I am Chrono. I primarily cover PSO2 content, the little splash of things here and there mixed in. If you want to keep up with the content, would appreciate to subscribe as we work our way towards that 7K mark. We blasted past 6.9, so I feel like we're going to reach it in like the next week or two. But I wanted to say thank you guys. It's been super awesome and very humbling to see everyone stick around and push forward as we wait towards better and better content in PSO2. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh, I'll give you guys also a small little sneak peek of something at the end of the video, so stick around all the way over to the end. It's like an Easter egg thing, nothing too crazy or anything like that. Not even PSO2 specific, so give you guys a little bit of a heads up. Anyway, let's jump into today's video. So we're going to be covering units, and as I always do, we're doing this over on the Vizifone website. If you're new to these videos, I always do this over on the Vizifone website, that way you guys can follow along, and the next time you may not have to wait for me to go ahead and make one of these videos. You can make these decisions yourself. But if you want to wait for the video, that's totally fine as well. So we're going to pop over into units. Now, if you watched the weapons video recently, the units is way easier to talk about, thank God, because I really did not want to go into upgrading units. It was an expensive endeavor if I had to go into that. So we have two new sets of units. Yes, two sets. And of course they made things difficult for me based on the way that they worded when they were talking about these units. People mentioned that this is the set of units we're going to be getting, and I mentioned as well that we were going to get something similar to this. We were both right. We got both. It's kind of funny. So we've got the, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this, the Vijf set, as well as the Schwartz set. Call it Schwartz because it's Schwartz set, Schwartz guard, all that stuff, right? So the Vijf set is basically kind of a tag on to the VO set, a little bit of extra defense. You drop 1 PP in favor of getting 20 extra HP, and you lose out on it being an all stat unit, and essentially it is a duo unit. So you've got the Arga, which is melee range, you have the Belta, which is range tag, and you have the Sheza, which is melee tag. So you have a unit that kind of fits what you're looking for. If you're looking for a unit that has all three, just go with VS. You'll lose out on some of your HP, but realistically it's not a huge deal overall. Having 1 point of extra PP only matters if it actually is a make or break point for you somewhere. Realistically, outside of that, it's mostly placebo and wanting to see a pretty number. Other than that, we have another set of units that are out called the Schwartz Armors. Now, these ones are actually pretty interesting. I was a little afraid these were going to be super outscale Grius and Giant, but they're actually balanced to Grius and Giant, and let me explain how. So right off the bat, defensively, these units are about on par. You got Grius, you have the Valden unit, and you've got the Vile unit. All of these are pretty much on par defensively. So for you guys, that was like a second. For me, that was like 30 minutes actually to take care of something. So apologies if there is anything repeat that pops up here for just a second. I believe we were talking about the defenses between all these units. So yeah, you've got Vital, you have Valden, you have Grius, all around the same-ish when it comes to the defenses. Now here's where things get interesting. The offensive choices. These are the first, well, I guess the third set of units that have 2%. Grius and Giant for a long time were the only ones that had 2% of a main stat. However, these units do have 2% main stat, though they're separated. It's more like a unit for a single damage type, essentially. So if you're looking for a setup that has all three, you're kind of going for a multi-class build setup, you're probably going to look at Grius and Giant for the most amount of damage possible, and maybe Vijf if you're going for something that's a bit not as damagey but still very good. However, with these units, you've got 2%. The big thing though is you lose 10 PP comparatively to Grius, and a good chunk compared to Giant. It's 7 compared to Giant, so it's still a good amount of PP lost. The benefits you gain are HP, and you get 1% damage resistance. This actually can't be overstated, because not only is it 1% damage resistance, it's also not negative resistances. So you have positive or base resistance, and then technically less resistance, which is really, really nice. But yeah, the TLDR realistically when it comes down to these units are, if you're already running Griant and Gius, you have a comfortable setup, you're good. Upgrade them to plus 50. There's not really much you need to worry about when it comes to the new units. However, if you're kind of in an in-between place, you haven't really upgraded your units yet, you're looking for a new unit itself, you're not super heavily invested in your current units, these Schwarz units are actually pretty good, especially if you don't need the extra amount of PP. But if you're like a force, you're probably going to want the extra PP, so it may not be the best for all tech classes. Mine kind of falls to something like Techer. Maybe if you want to be a bit more defensive, that way, you know, you're not dying or anything like that. You can be a bit supportive for your group. But you still want to do damage. Like, dealing damage is still a big part of it. That's actually one of the things I enjoy about a lot of classes in games is if you're more of a different role, like supporty or tank or something like that, still maxing out the amount of damage you can deal is still very useful to your group itself. Some people are like, oh, you know, it's only a little amount, but I mean, if you guys have done rating content, I've failed content by 1 to 2%. Hell, I've failed content by 0.1% of damage on a target. So it definitely can all be a thing. Granted, it's not a thing in PSO2, but it's still fun to see how much you can push out. So it's worth looking into for some people, not everyone. But yeah, TLDR, units are dope, but if you haven't considered Grease and Giant, you don't need to worry. That's all I have for you guys today. If you have any other questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more. Oh, I mentioned I had a little, like, you know, teaser for you guys at the end of the video itself. So some people have, you know, asked questions about, you know, my bookmarks across the top. The funny thing is I noticed you can kind of see the progression of games that I had played. So you've got PSO2, Final Fantasy 14, Sword Art Online, Allotation Licorice, Monster Hunter World, BDO. It's empty now. We don't play BDO anymore. Fatal Bullet, had a couple of things in here. I actually had a Google sheet that worked on Fatal Bullet when it originally came out. Diablo, D&D, I actually had a D&D session with some friends, and then this stuff is Lost Ark related. So in case you were like, what is all this about? Now you know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching all the way in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out.